Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me as always, Tate Mathews. Tate, it is hard to believe. Week 4 is in the books. We've got a lot of things, a lot of games that we probably missed along the way and things that shocked everybody as far as scores. But man, what a great week of football we had last week.
Yeah, we did. A lot of good games, and the weather was great. And we had some out-of-conference games. I know we like the conference games, but we like the out-of-conference games too. So, and you're right, it's hard to believe this is week 5 of the football season, man. It has flown by.
Speaking of out-of-conference games, you know me, I'm the old data hound. I love to mine for these and have these numbers. 12-3 right now. The WCS Sports Conference is on out-of-conference games. You got to think of all the games that we've had. 12-3. I think that number increases on the win side as we continue on. Obviously, we'll have a whole lot more games now that we're getting kind of through that those inter-conference rivals. Now we got to get into region play, but it'd be interesting. I always find that interesting to see what our overall winning percentage and total is when we go out of a conference.
Oh yeah, I love it too. And there were a couple that I think if we a break here and there, but I mean that's the game, but. A couple breaks here or there, it would be even better. And then I know we're going to get to it, but the Independence out of conference victory over Smyrna I thought was really impressive. So that was that. If RUCO is the SEC of high school football, what does that mean?
I don't disagree with you. Friday as we were going to the game, that was brought up on the radio. 104.5 was bringing up the point about RUCO, talking about those guys and their success. And I'm not taking away from Rutherford County's success because, yes, up until the last 4 years, Rutherford County has set a bar and a standard that is very high. Riverdale, Oakland. These are all traditional powerhouses. Now you throw in Blackman, Juwan Jennings era. All those teams they've had have had unbelievable teams. They get the TV contracts. They've got 3 or 4 SEC guys. But we won 2 state championships last year. The year before we had a runner-up. So that is a good question. What does that make us? Where does that put us in the grand scheme of things?
Oh, I think, you look at the past, let's just take the past couple of years. I think if you line up, and they've got more 6A schools, but I think if you line up maybe all their schools and our schools, they might have more wins than losses. But I think when you take our best, Independence yesterday, and we'll see how the season. Independence on Friday. I think when the season rolls out, I still think Smyrna is one of the top teams in Rutherford County, maybe the top team. So I think when you take our best and go against their best, I think at least the last 2-3 years, you see what happens.
The talk was brought up. Rutherford County, Williamson County.
I think it'd be great.
Huge battle week 1. Blackman versus somebody, one of our teams. Let's just throw it out there for hypothetical reasons. Let's say Blackman plays Franklin. Riverdale plays Brentwood. Independence plays Oakland. You're talking about some serious matchups. It would just be amazing. Summit versus Siegel.
You really could make it a 3-day event, 2-day event it would have to be, but yeah, you could make it a 3-day event. It'd be awesome. Summit versus Siegel. Brentwood versus Smyrna, whatever. It could be a lot of fun. You'd sell a lot of tickets on Prep Tix.
I guarantee it. So. Anyway, that's fun to talk about that. Week 4, let's start right now. Let's go through the whole rundown. Brentwood, 1-3, 0-1 in region play. Who would have ever thought by week 4 that Brentwood would be 1-3?
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe. But when you look at 2 of those 3 losses, Independence and Franklin. So two really good teams, right? So it's kind of hard to believe the way they're going about it, though. I think the Rossview one is still just really a surprise.
Well, if actually your 3 losses in there: Independence, Ravenwood, Rossview, and Franklin. They're 1-4. I apologize. I said 1-3. It's 1-4.
No, they beat Ravenwood.
They beat Ravenwood. I apologize.
Yeah, right.
I apologize. I've gotten sidetracked here. Yes, they did beat Ravenwood. So the one win is against a quality opponent is the point I was trying to make. I got sidetracked. Apologize. The quality opponent, Ravenwood, comes in, and we had that as a coin flip, a pick 'em game at halftime, 10-10. It was. They came out, they put 31 on the second half. Where is that team? Right now, they're in this. If you coach long enough, you've got to circle the wagons at some point in time. You have those seasons where, and you start looking at their schedule. They've got 3 games that they can win right now going into bye week. That puts them, at 4-3 in the bye week, and then they've got a 3 tough game schedule. They've got Clarksville, Henry County, Centennial left. Need to win 1 out of those to go 500, 2 of those to go above 500. Who knows what happens between now and then, but there is still an opportunity for them to finish in the top 4, get the playoffs, make a run in the playoffs. They can do that. Last year, what did they end the playoffs in? 6-6. They finished 6-6.
Yeah, they went 6-6. I think they finished the season 5-5. Then they won a playoff game, and
so it's almost carbon copy of where they were. Now I know that Coach Crawford, that doesn't help him anymore in his in telling them that and trying to be the positive side of things, because you got to be realistic. But let's talk about it. Brentwood, Franklin comes in. They finished the week 3-1, 1-0 in conference play. Franklin won 41-7. The game started off. Franklin put the ball on the ground. Brentwood gets it, and all of a sudden, just like we thought going in, this game is going to be a pick'em game. 41-7, Franklin wins.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing that I was most impressed with. They score 41 points, and then you realize they fumbled their first 3 possessions. The Rebels did. That's hard to believe. So, you don't see this much with Brentwood, but I would call that a dominating win. I mean, if you look at it like that, I mean that they must have. That means they scored almost every other time they had the ball, and they're really playing well right now. We know about Mitch Rossi, and he's kind of the. He's going to pound you. He's not going to break 80-yard runs for touchdowns, but he's going to get 5, 6, a 10-yard run here and give him the ball 20, 30 times a game, and he's a guy that's going to wear you down. You're already getting hit every play by that big old offensive line. And then Alex Gacka, I mean, what more can you say about him? You're not going to see a game where he gets 10 balls thrown to him. But look at what he did again. 4 balls, 4 catches, 2 touchdowns. I mean, they just lull you to sleep. Pound you. Play action, boom. It's happened every game.
Well, running the option, the triple option, which brings us to the WCTV play of the week. Gentry Nice on this reverse option play.
Good play. Nice execution. Got some side.
Oh, my Lord.
See ya.
Woo! That was drawn up and executed beautifully.
Gentry Nice.
Nice, we've seen him return a massive interception. And then we
Nicely
line
done.
up, trips left, and Nice pops into the backfield, goes into motion, and then goes away to the line of scrimmage. They option to the left to him and get some great blocking, and he turns on those
Beautiful
wheels. Good
blocking.
Lord, that was beautiful.
Gentry able to scoot down that left sideline over there.
Golly.
As you can see right there for a defense, that's pretty tough where's it going?
Right.
They flip it back to the other side. You got your blocking coming down the short side of the field. Man, this guy is not even, if I'm not mistaken, maybe in the rotation, but he's not one of the names that we usually mention coming back. So what's the future for the Rebels hope?
Oh yeah, and a little bit of razzle-dazzle there for people that think that Dan Winfrey and Donnie or Dr. Defense are old school. They are, but they also, he can bring them out with the best of them. So, but it just goes to show, you have to be disciplined. It's like playing against the wing tee. It's assignment football. You have to be disciplined. They're watching. I guarantee you, they didn't just call that. Winfrey saw something. He was holding that thing. He was waiting. He saw what he wanted. They came back to it. 70-yard touchdown, 80-yard touchdown. Pretty fun to watch. And you're right, great play by, a young guy getting his chance to play, made the most of his opportunities. That's fun to watch.
And it looks like he had a lot of speed in that
Yeah.
play too. Wow. The score was 7-7 after the end of the first. Franklin, 34 unanswered points.
Right. That's tough.
Brentwood's going to, Coach Ron Crawford, we talk about him all the time. He was on the show. Him and Donnie both, great guys,
Yes.
great characters. I love them both. He's going to circle the wagons.
No doubt.
When it comes time in week 1 of playoffs, Brentwood is going to be that team. We have it every year. We talk about it every year. That team that on paper, people are thinking they probably shouldn't even be in the playoffs, but we're thinking that's the team you don't want to face in week 1.
Oh, without a doubt. And the thing that's crazy about it is and I know it sounds funny because they lost 41-3, but there were some positives in it. They won the turnover battle. Normally, when you see that, don't you think that's a recipe for success? They had more plays. it just didn't turn out well for them. And again, if you go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, I still think Franklin's one of the best teams in the state. So, I know Ron Crawford, it's still a loss to him. He doesn't want those kids at Brentwood High. They don't want to sugarcoat it. It was a 41-3 loss. But I still think there were some positives that came out of it. And let's not lose sight of it. You got beat by a very, very good football team.
All right, moving on. Centennial moves to 3-1. Now, who would have thought? And I'd have to say, call us out. I'm not sure that we both would have thought at this point in time that Centennial would have been 3-1. They're 1-0 in region play. They faced Ravenwood. Ravenwood moves to 2-2, 1-0 in region play. 21-14. Centennial wins their second year in a row on this big rival matchup.
Huge win, and they're doing it running the football and playing great defense. We knew they were going to play good defense. We talked about it. I thought they were going to be too young, but there's so many great coaching jobs going on right now. But if we're going to give a Coach of the Year award for the first half of the season, I mean, it has to go to Matt Kreisky. What a great job they've done, and done it against some really good football teams. So, and they scored 21 points, 2 of them by Zion Lee. What a running back he's turning, 2 touchdowns by Zion Lee. What a running back he's turning out to be. But, there were still some drives they felt like they didn't finish in that game, and they left some points on the board. So you look at that, and then you realize, man, they're really playing well. But 2 wins in a row over Ravenwood, I think you take that any time.
And I really thought going in, Ravenwood, I picked Ravenwood. The way they were going into this game from last year, you think, okay, this is one we're going to circle on schedule because of the fact that it was the only loss we had in our 6A state championship run. Payback, first home game for Ravenwood. We talked about this. When was the last time Ravenwood lost at home?
Been a long time, at least 3 years, I would think.
And they just came in there, and I want to say that there was a little issue towards the end on the last play. Maybe there was supposed to be a second left on the clock to try to run one more play, a Hail Mary, whatever. The referees picked the ball up and run off the field, game over.
I'm sure that went over well.
But the chances of them scoring on that, maybe some to none, but you got to give them an opportunity to do so. Didn't see it with my own 2 eyes, but at the same time, it doesn't change the outcome. 21-14, it's good to see Chrisman get a catch for 7 yards. It's not big yet. I still think that young man will be a difference maker somewhere down the road. They're going to start keying in on Lee. They're going to start, DeRoe. Obviously, you got to watch those guys. I really think that Chrisman, I hope, will come and be a difference maker before this year's out for that young man, because I know, coming in, he had some high hopes for him. He was getting some traction. Recruiting-wise, I still think, he's a great-looking kid, 6'4", wonderful young man, high character. I'd love to see his numbers continue to go up. I know this is maybe not his first catch, but I really think that at some point in time, Chrisman is going to be a difference maker.
Oh, and the coaching staff wants him to be. And come later on in the year, he's going to have to be. The other thing that I think is kind of going unnoticed, we talk about Franklin's offensive line all the time, and we should. They're a very good offensive line. But you look at the way Centennial's winning these football games. Austin Waddell, he goes off the charts in the first week in the passing game. The first couple of weeks, you can tell they're kind of trying to take that away a little bit. They're winning by running the football and playing great defense, stopping the run, and had to get pressure on Morrow against Ravenwood. So this offensive line is doing a great job too, led by Eli Katina, a guy that we knew had to step up this year. And I think 4 games in, I think without a doubt he's done that.
Now, if you like to see the passing game, Ravenwood's a team to watch. They're averaging anywhere between 35 and 40 attempts. They were 40 attempts in this game by the Ravenwood offense. McCain Morrow, 24 of 40, 160 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. A lot of kids there. They've got over 5 kids receiving multiple, as you can see. Schmeltz was 6, Rawl was 7, Freeman, Nathan Freeman's younger brother right now, he's a good player for them, 6. Briggs with 1, Rice with 4. So spreading the wealth, throwing the ball, just came up a little short. But let's look at the defensive side. We talk about a lot about the offensive side of things. Clay Carter, that's the name that always comes up with us. On Centennial side, 16 total tackles, 10 solos.
Stud. He plays with a high motor, and he's a big part of that on the defensive side too. That defensive line, Nick Bell and Eli Katina, they're getting after him, and then what that does is that lets him get to the ball, and when he gets there, he's coming full speed, I assure you.
Well, Centennial has outscored their opponents 126-97. That's a little close right there. If you really digged into it and you looked at the 4 weeks of combined stats, 42-42 in the fourth. That's if there's an Achilles heel on this team. It seems like the late part of the game is where they're either coming up a little short or squeaking by. Now, as long as you continue to squeak by, you're in good shape. But that's I think it's an interesting stat. A lot of people think, why are you saying that? Well, those late game situations, that's where Independence beat them in week 2.
Right.
In the fourth quarter, it was going in. It was, matter of fact, either tied or down 3, and they outscoring 14 plus in that fourth quarter. So he can get that figured out. Centennial, man, is one of those sleepers right now. Why would we even say Centennial's a sleeper? They were in the state semi-championship game last year, but after all the changes happened, personnel change, player change, a lot of people
lost some good players,
and a lot of people would have written them off
Right.
as, well, good luck. But here they are in the thick of it, 3-1. It's awesome to watch.
Yes. Yep.
Page,
Very excited for them.
Page loses to Forest, a good Forest team. Forest moves to 4-0. They're undefeated. Page moves to 1-2, 1-0 in the region, more importantly, but lost 21-14 with the opportunity to try to win that game.
Tough loss. Now, Forest is a good football team. They're undefeated, and they're big, and they're physical. They're going to run the ball. Look at the Summit offense. You see a lot of similarities in the Forest offense. So, and they have an older team. So, tough loss. Had a chance to win it, but they just have opportunities in the passing game, and for whatever reason, they're just not firing on all cylinders right now. Now they got a new quarterback, and he's a talented young man, and I think they'll be fine come the end of the year. But they're breaking in a new quarterback. They run a lot of kind of option routes, I guess you would want to call that, and they're just not on the same page yet for whatever reason. So I think they'll get that fixed, but. That's a tough loss.
Man, it's a lot of similarities with the Independence team too. New quarterback, new things going on. Timing is such a key issue when you throw the ball as much as they do. And, those routes, everybody has to be on the same page, just like you're talking about.
And Page playing a lot of young guys. But, again, had a chance to win it, got to find a way to win those games.
So, Page, moving into region play, right now sitting at 1-0, how do you think Coach Rathbone and the Patriots roll into this region play?
If they can get, you got to leave it. You were a coach. It's over. We got to learn from the mistakes and move on, right? Regardless of what happened, we're playing next week. So, I think if they can come out, get on the same page, be confident, and just keep getting better, I think he can get some, because there's some playmakers on that team. But again, they have to find a way to get that passing game going. And on defensively, they playing some young guys again, but they just need to shore some things up. It really is. It comes down to fundamentals a little bit on that side. They just got to tackle better.
And you think, they had an opportunity. They beat Spring Hill, a good Spring Hill team.
Good Spring Hill team.
Came back last minute, last second style drive, to win that game. And here, Forest, I thought we had another one in the making here to beat Forest. But Forest comes out on top 21-14. Coach Rathbone, those guys move forward. They're going to end up playing Lawrence County. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Old Sparty, unbelievable. 3-1 sitting right now, 1-0 in the region. Tate, they have scored 152 points on the season, 125 in the last game and a half.
Yeah.
Now, we can throw both, obviously second half of the Lebanon game in there, but come on, man. What is going on in Old Sparty country? They beat Lebanon 44-6. That score was 44-0 at halftime. Obviously, running clock, substitutions. So in a game and a half, 125 points.
Yeah, 41 in the first half. There were times last year when they didn't score 41 in 4 games.
I think we're going to have to go back. This is an interesting piece of data that Coach Coleman would love that we're going to bring it up. Coach Coleman, Coach Kirby, I'm going to look this up. How many total points they had for the season last year?
We'll look it up. I will.
They may have surpassed it in 2 games.
It's unbelievable, and it's so fun to watch. And the way they're doing it, they're spreading the ball around. They've done it the past 2 weeks. It's obviously Ty, not as much this week, but Ty's had some really big games. But every game, Dalton Fisher. He had a huge game this week. I think he was well over 100 yards. I think only on 9 carries. So he's done a great job with it. And Tyler Palmer, and it's been fun to watch them spread the ball around. And it's been fun to watch. He came in with his system, and this is what as the coaching staff, we believe we need to do to be successful. They've stayed with it, took some lumps, growing pains again last year, ended on a high note last year. Could have folded the 10 after the way they lost that Spring Hill game. That's the other thing. They're a silly penalty away from being 4-0. And then to come back and against Shelbyville and Lebanon. And Lebanon is a 6A football team. And are they Blackman? No, but they've got some athletes. And so that tells me something else. The defense must have played really well also. So it's just fun to see these kids bought in, they stayed with it, and to see them have this kind of success is very, very rewarding. Well,
right now they have 73 first downs to their opponent 52 for the year. 152 to 42 has been the score. Now, here's an interesting stat. Halftime, all the way up to halftime, they've outscored their opponents 94 to 40. Second half, 45-32. The second half scoring is fixing to come into play. Now, we can throw that out the window because we got substitutions in the 71-point game, substitutions in the 44-point game. You've got running clock in both those games to finish it up. Now, this week is the Border Battle week. I'm not sure there's been a bigger game in the history of Summit High School than this week. Now, we can talk about all the history-making games they've had in the past. First home win, first region win, first home game, etc. This game could very well be the biggest game in Summit history.
Oh, man, and think about the things that one, it'd be their first win over Independence. Independence is sitting here at 19-0. They're the defending 5A champion. There's just a lot of things that could come into play with it that's you're right, it's going to be a huge game. I don't know what the biggest crowd they've had there is. I'm willing to bet this will be the biggest one. The other thing I want to make sure, defensively, they held Lebanon to 4 first downs. Now remember,
negative 14 yards for the game.
They substituted.
Right?
I don't know.
I believe that's what it was.
Maybe, yeah. 4 first downs. And they played the young pups in the second half. That's great.
Let's play hypotheticals. Why not, right?
Let's do it.
Independence, reigning 5A champions, they have not lost since they took a playoff loss at Hendersonville 2 years ago.
Yep.
They come into Old Sparty land. It's going to look like Toomer's Corner down there. It's going to be absolutely nuts. Tent city's going on. You've got the Gridiron Club going to be set up. You've got the entire Summit squad's going to be there. The Independence folks are going to travel down there.
Yes.
What if Summit was to pull it off?
Be a big win. Be the biggest win in
to break
school
the
history.
streak,
That'd be huge.
to snap the streak, not only to snap the streak, Tate, there's something we're forgetting. First place in the region.
Oh, yeah. A lot of firsts that would come out of it. That'd be big. I'm sure Coach Coleman's really happy about you bringing this up.
Coach Coleman, we love you, man. But, let's call it like it is. This
huge.
game, this atmosphere could rival Battle of the Woods or any of them. I guarantee you could put it in the book. This game is going to be unbelievable. I hope our student sections keep it clean, but it's going to be unbelievable atmosphere. Border Battle this Friday night, man. It's going to be incredible. Game day will be there. It's going to be fun. All right, Fairview. Here's a story out of the blue right here for you. Fairview, Independence, the lone guys undefeated in WCS Sports Conference, moves to 4-0, 1-0 in the region, beat a very good undefeated Waverly team.
Yeah, and had to play the whole game to do it. Big win. A lot of athletes on that field. And like he said, we've talked about it the past couple of weeks. He told us at the beginning of the year this team had an attitude about it, had a chip on their shoulder from the way last season was, and they kind of play like that. But 4-0, Waverly's a very athletic football team. Jake Beathard, 3 touchdowns the other night. Here's an interesting stat. Talk about consistency. Cam Harris-Lusk, very efficient, managing the game, 10 for 14 for 127 yards. He has gone 10 for 14 the last 3 weeks. That's pretty tough to do.
It seems like he needs to go 10 for 14 to keep it going. And if you watch him play, man, he's a little dynamite dude, man. And he's not very big.
He's got some ability.
But he can move well. He throws a good ball. Lusk has played well, and he plays defense too. I mean that's the thing. Most of these guys are playing both ways for Fairview. And as we get down in smaller classifications, your team, obviously is not as big. So you got to have guys that can go both ways. Jake Beathard, like you're talking about, I mean, he is really
he's a player.
He's the glue right now for them. They're playing really well.
And they do a good job of finding ways to get him the ball.
And Coach Hughes has done a remarkable job with this team, even if he said all that nonsense at the first year that they got a chip, I would have been like, Coach, I hope you have a good year. But sitting at 4-0 at this point in time, I think is shocking to all of us. We'll have to rewind the tapes. I'm sure Creed to find out what our overall prediction of Fairview is going to be. But man,
I didn't have him at 4-0.
I didn't have it at 4-0 this time of the week. So congratulations, Coach Hughes and that group. Keep it going. Independence of Smyrna, obviously, probably the best game of the night as far as quality games go. Smyrna undefeated, Indy undefeated. Smyrna really thought they were going to come in there. Everybody predict them. Kreger, Tennessean, Michael Murphy, all the outlets saying Smyrna's breaking the streak. Well, unfortunately, they didn't for them. 21-7, Independence rolls. In this game, I'm just telling you right now, it could have been 35-41-7 if they played just a hair better and don't drop the ball a few times.
Yeah, they left a few points on the board, but that's what I was most impressed with. They won this game, and the way they dominated them defensively, dominated them.
And we were there. Now, you look at the kids that Smyrna had. I really got a little nervous because I was thinking, okay, a little bigger, a little bit more athletic. This is going to be tough.
Yeah. Well, and remember, they got their quarterback's committed to MTSU, all right? And so they don't just take you just because you're a hometown guy. The running back, Casey Perkins, I think he's one of the, outside of Ty Chandler, maybe the second best running back in the mid-state. They got after him. And you can't, let's look at the first half. We talk about Landon Guidry all the time.
Oh, my goodness.
This is what he did in the first half. He sacked the quarterback. He blocked a punt. He came, a centimeter from blocking a second punt. They get down. They put him in the Wildcat. He scores a touchdown, if not untouched, almost untouched. And then later on in the half, he baits the quarterback into thinking that the receiver was behind him, throws it. He goes up and intercepts the ball. I'd call that an all-around player.
I mean, just in a half, that's the best game I've ever seen him play in his career.
He's impressive.
And if you have any questions why he's going to Mississippi State, right there it is. And the hit he delivered on the running back, I mean, was a monster hit. But you can't leave out Hunter Dupree, all those guys. That defense is solid.
Solid.
If the offense, and Hines, once again, coming in, he's feeling his way. That offense is such – it's hard. It's so centered around timing.
Right.
Once that timing gets down, this team right here, look out, folks.
Well, and the thing that would scare me the most is we've talked about. Remember, this is now he's only played. He's only in his fourth game. The touchdown pass to Sheffield.
Oh my goodness!
The more comfortable they get with that, they're sitting there trying to load up the box, and they should. They got him out there by themselves, and they missed on one earlier in the year. I don't know either. They ran. I mean, earlier in the game, they either ran the wrong route or they threw the wrong route. That touchdown catch was a great catch and a great throw.
Great throw.
The more on page they get on that, people are in trouble.
Nothing against the quarterback that's going to MTSU, but are you kidding me? Andrew Bunch. We don't even have to discuss that. All right, moving on. Nolensville, Marshall County JV. We'll have more about that. They're playing later. We'll talk about that next week. All right, here we go. Pick'ems. Games coming up this week. I'm sitting at 15-4. You're sitting at 9-10. Good job on that. Dixon County, Brentwood. Brentwood at Dixon County. Who do you have?
Hey. There's no gimmies, but Coach Crawford's glad to see this. He gets us back on track. The Bruins. Carson Shacklet is going to have a big week.
Got to. Come on, guys. Get it back. We'll circle the wagons. Brentwood wins this game. Ravenwood at Franklin. This is a big one, man. This is a good one. Kind of in that same area. He needs a win bad. Franklin's still keeping the streak going.
I think Franklin wins, but they're going to have to play well to do it. But Franklin wins.
Uh-oh. Pump the brakes. Big offensive line. We're going to throw behind it. We're going to dink and duck all the way. Ravenwood wins this one. A close one. All right, Clarksville Northeast versus Centennial.
Let me tell you something. This is a scary game. Clarksville Northeast has got some athletes. I think Centennial wins, but if they think this is a gimme, they're going to be sadly mistaken.
I don't think it's a gimme. You've been watching their schedule all year long. Northeast has been there. Centennial wins this game. It is tight. Page, Lawrence County. Page at Lawrence County. Can we get it back on the right track?
They got to get down there. That's a long drive. They got to drive through Amish country. But I think they get back on the winning streak. Page wins, but another one. They can't take this lightly.
I agree, and a close one. Let's make sure on this late drive that we finish it out. All right, Summit at Indy. We're not going to pick it. I don't know who you're going to pick, but we're going to see you next week. WCS Game Day will be live at Border Battle. We'll see you next week.